great harass coming from DannyBoy. At this point, Thresh has no mana, and that Lucian is below half HP, so at this point, looks like Teknoz and Danny has a good freeze going on in bot lane. At this point, Danny could freeze the lane, or either push it really fast and recall, because they have the slight advantage here, they control the lane. What we see here is actually Danny pushing the lane towards the enemy side. Since Shyvana has teleport top and Eve is the jungler, you can't really see them without a pink ward, and this is very early on in the game, so obviously our support won't have a pink for the lane. So actually shoving here from Danny's point is the worst idea. He's taking a big risk here, but he's under the safety of his turret, so looks like Danny has a big minion flow here, and Thresh acknowledges this. The pinging you heard a couple of seconds ago was actually Shyvana telling Thresh to ward this bush, which means they wanted to plan this kill for a very long time. As you can see, Thresh put the ward down now, and Thresh also leveled up, so now he has a couple of mana for a hook, possibly. The only choice that Danny has now is to either shove this lane really fast and recall, or just shove the lane all the way to the tower, which might risk him being ganked. Although he has the siege of the minion line here, so Thresh can't hook him, Danny decides to move back a little bit because he feels the impending doom of an Eve gank, and you can see by Teknoz's and Danny's movement that they're actually afraid to move up a little bit. If we pause here, we can actually move our mouse to this position where Eve is actually heading down. She actually sped herself up using her W before coming down to bot lane. Then he can feel the gank coming, but he decides to move up a little bit to get some last hits. And the pinging you heard earlier, or right now, was actually Shyvana pinging this because she has teleport ready, and it looks like Danny is deciding to go for CS here. At this point, it's already over because they got played and teleport was already queued up, and Eve was here, so this is a really good play on their part. Great bubble by Teknoz. And at this point, they have dragon control now, which they are going to. And where was mid and jungle at this point? Well, jungle was ganking mid lane, and we actually got a kill. But unfortunately, our mid player was low, and the jungle's not even 6, and it's a 4v2, essentially, or a 4v1 essentially. So they have complete dragon control here. Here they're setting up for dragon, or we actually set it up really well. We had a lot of wards there, but we kind of lacked the pressure to maintain the dragon control, so they took out our pink ward. We were kind of split, and they were all kind of grouped up together, so we were actually pincering them, but they had a better core 5 beside dragon. We decided to engage, and decided to split for some weird reason. Thanks to the Gragas ult, everyone was split in half, and they didn't know who to focus because of the Gragas ult. In the end, we came out on top for the team fight, and we should have done dragon right about now, but we decided to chase. Now we decide to do dragon. We already beat them. At this point, I should have actually watched for Eve coming from the side, but I was too preoccupied with the over the wall jump from Shyvana. In the end, they got the dragon, but we got most of the kills. But there's just two things there. We just needed to go straight to dragon after the couple of kills, and we needed better coverage on dragon. Instead of just focusing on it, we should have like split up a little bit while doing dragon, and let the main AD and jungle focus it. Dragon spawning soon, so we're all heading down there as a group. But unfortunately, two of us died earlier, so it's only just Fatal, Murderlizer, and Teknoz to clear. They actually caught Eve trying to ward up for Dragon, and Dragon actually did spawn. But it looks like with Thresh, they're alive. We start doing Dragon, but Danny's still farming at mid. Then he decides to meet up with the group, but he gets called out of the way because the minion saw him. I actually tried to flash and save him, but he ended up dying anyway. I think it was mostly just Danny's positioning there. He could have actually went over here instead of going through the common bush and around for dragon. We actually ended up winning the trade, and we have vision control. But I get caught out trying to de-ward, but then my top and support come and save me. It ended up being our middle and ADC having bad positioning. Thanks to this bush area, we need to move around instead of going through. And they actually came out on top of that. They actually killed us, and they took our mid tower with it. So in terms of movement and positioning, I think going through this brush without support from our dragon team, we could have instead of going through here, we could have went around. But if we had support from our dragon team, going through here was no problem if they were standing around this area. But since they were standing around this area, we had to go the long way, but we didn't take that chance. They actually ended up getting dragon and middle tower, so that set us behind pretty badly. Here we see enemy blue team moving up to our middle tower to take it out. Ashley has 1 HP. The way to acknowledge all 5 of them right here. I end up getting picked off, and a great ult by Wukong, but unfortunately their Lulu ulted the ADC, and at this point they really have very little damage output because they haven't been controlling the game as much. But overall, it was a sloppy fight, or a sloppy positioning on our part. We saw 5 players coming from mid, all the way from this position to get our middle tower, and they continued to press their luck, and turned out they came out with a reward on 2 towers and a lot of kills. We end up going to get Baron, which we have a lot of control over because we have 3 pink wards on it. But they take out most of the... Actually, they only take out 1 pink ward, and Eve decides to take red buff and flashes over the wall, so we know exactly. We know Eve can't get the next Baron. Or Eve can't flash into the Baron pit if we do this, so we decide to start Baron. This As a team, we actually had a lot of Baron control, and we actually dewarded everything. They have no vision. There's only 3 people here, and we decided to move back instead of getting a pick. But what the right choice would have been, we should have just picked one off right away, because their Lucian wasn't even in the team when they started dewarding our wards, and we could have actually forced the Baron fight, and we would have won the Baron fight and gotten Baron. But instead, we decided to pull back, and we decided to move back into the Baron pit, the same situation we were in before, but in a less cooped up state. And they actually got a little bit of wards into our, or just one ward, or a couple of wards into your Baron. We ended up winning the trade because Lucian thought he could kill our mid player, and our mid player had flash, and Gragas had a really good ult on Shyvana, and we had better map control, but we could have done this way earlier for cheaper. The game breaker here was actually Lucian throwing himself in. He dashed towards the team, and that was the main reason why they lost that fight. It was actually a Lucian throw. Great bubble by Teknoz. We forced the ult by Lulu, so then if Eve decides to come in and get Baron, they can't pop us up and interrupt their smite. I ended up noticing Lulu flashing towards me while I was recalling, and we already know Lulu's ult's down, so we just had to press our luck, but Eve decides to almost kill me. At this point, Danny has no mana and he's half HP. Gragas makes a tight escape, and no one actually ends up getting Baron. And that was just a sloppy fight overall from both teams, actually. Danny decides to come save Murderlizer, and they actually pulled it off. We eventually recalled because there was a lot of time put into this Baron area, and we decided not to do. We just have bad Baron callings. We just can't decide if we want to do it, bait it, or anything. It takes us a very long time to call when to do Baron. I guess we were just waiting for the right time, but we had a lot of opportunities to do so. In the end, the same thing that was about to happen to us at Dragon, where they smited Dragon, didn't happen because of Gragas' ult. So I think this game would have been completely one-sided had they had that Eve enter the lane without Gragas' ult. So it was actually Gragas' ult that saved the day.